one of the most hated people in all of the online right, as far as we are concerned, is Matt Walsh. He is a smug, overpaid, over-platformed douchebag who has way too many resources at his disposal to push his propaganda. Much like every other member of the Daily Wire, he's someone who has a failed background in another realm of entertainment. In this case, it's the realm of radio. In fact, there's a great clip of him that I feel I should always show if I'm going to cover Matt Walsh. It's sort of mandatory at this point, of what his radio days were like. Here it is. Okay. So this is why it's so weird that Matt Walsh does the sweet baby gang thing. This video is why I find that particularly weird. Notice, by the way, this grown man who is wrestling with another grown man, both in diapers, has a swastika tattooed on his back. This is... Hi, Pornhub. This is what Matt Walsh was getting up to back in his radio days before Daily Wire. All right, here it is.
If Internet wins,
that's Matt
he can
Walsh.
somehow take down this giant behemoth. Yeah. He will get the opportunity just to spray Crank with mace in the face.
This is this is not happening with the mace.
It's gonna happen. It's a look. It's something that motivates him. Be here for that. So just beat him, and we'll figure out the mace thing. But just first thing is to beat him. So now, do they have to start in a wrestling position or what? How do you start this? Yeah, how does this work?
I think they just go like two
Matt Walsh
gladiators
did have a
in the
boner
arena.
this whole video. Yes.
Man to man.
This looks like Florida.
Bear to baby Huey.
Sumo?
I bet this is Florida.
No, because that'll require ripping at the diaper, and I don't want to see the diaper come off.
No, you push. Just push. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we're not going to watch them fight, as Matt Walsh commentates, of course. But, personally, I think that is Matt Walsh's greatest moment of all time. Frankly, I don't think anything tops that. However, 3 days ago, Matt Walsh uploaded a video called Countdown of Matt Walsh's Most Viral Moments of 2023. So basically, this is a compilation of his, no doubt, worst, most cringe moments. So I figured we'd just go ahead and react to it on stream and just... I have no doubt there'll be some arguments here we can debunk, but it's most likely just going to be cringe. I haven't watched this yet. I never pre-watched, so let's dive right in. Off to an awful start. No shot. No shot. Hold on. Was he invited to play the Destroy All Humans remake for some promotion or something? Because if so, that is giga cringe. Or did he do a video where he played it and they just have like a screen behind him? Does he have like a segment where he plays video games? How dare he tarnish one of my favorite series this way? Was that him getting manhandled? I'm already cringing. Matt Walsh testifies in Tennessee.
Your educational background or your healthcare education experience?
Mr. Walsh, you recognized.
My experience in healthcare?
Your educational background. I'm just curious.
This is the man who claimed that millions of kids had gotten on hormone blockers in like a 5-year span, and on Joe Rogan, and then Joe Rogan's host, or like Jamie, his name is, was like, actually it's just a bit over 1,000 in 5 years. He's like, I would have guessed millions, but okay. That was after this, by the way. So that's the level of medical knowledge he has. If anyone needed needed something to use as a scale.
You've testified as to a lot of your own research. So I'm curious for what purpose you do that and what background you have to qualifies you to speak to that.
Well, my background that qualifies me to speak to this is that I'm a human being with a brain and common sense, and I have a soul.
This looks like an epic ode to conservatives. I guess I have to assume conservatives will watch this, like Matt Walsh fans will watch this. The reason why simply arguing I am a moral human being, I'm a basic human being, I see this as like an evident problem that any human being should feel a moral obligation to fight against. I assume he's referring to like trans healthcare here. The fact is that the overwhelming consensus of medical and scientific professionals across the board who have done many decades of research into sex, gender, and psychology around these topics have determined, unanimously at this point, that sex and gender are not the same thing, that trans people are valid, that transitioning is the cure for gender dysphoria, which is real and is valid. There's really not much else to tell you other than this guy is grifting and lying to you, and when confronted in court, it would seem, well, not court, but a committee, in a hearing on what his like actual qualifications are to advocate for this and talk about this, he's got nothing. All he can do is appeal to the everyman. Like, anyone could be up on stage like I am right now arguing this. You don't need to be a medical professional to be here. If there was a real problem, medical professionals would be screaming from the fucking rooftops about how this is an issue. The fact is they're not. And the people who are doing it are monetizing it shamelessly. Like, there's these, like, long disgraced doctors, like that one Dr. Anastasia Maria Lupis lady or whatever, who might not actually be a real doctor from what I've heard, who's like monetized and paywalled half the advocacy, quote unquote, she does. It's very clear that these are not people who care about issues. They're people who care about making money. These are not people who genuinely care about anyone. They're just grifting. They're just trying to make viral moments to make them get into the eyes of as many people as possible so they get more views and make more money. Politics is a business for these people, nothing else.
And so, therefore, I think it's a really bad idea to chemically castrate children. That is my experience. Also, I did, now it's true, I didn't go to college, but I did go to school long enough to learn.
Oh, yeah, of course he didn't go to college. This dude was a radio shock jock before he became a conservative lie spewer for a living.
How to read, so I can read the data for myself, and that's exactly what
yes. Here, can we show a perfect example of him reading the data for himself, actually? Here's another top moment of Matt Walsh in 2023. Let me see if I can find the video. The left is god-awful at spreading videos around that make the left look good in the culture war stuff. It's really, really a big problem. The left needs more, like, viral meme accounts and, like, culture hold online. Like, if an embarrassing clip... there should have been 10 times more memeage of fucking pronouns, fucking California shit. That should have been memed eternally so much harder. He should be the big red of the right now, and he's barely that, if anything. But here's a good example of Matt Walsh being able to read data.
How many people have had this done?
Depends on what. I don't think.
How many people have had this done?
Depends on what. I don't think we have exact numbers, but if we're talking about the drugs, it's millions.
You're talking about hormone blockers.
Yeah,
millions of kids have been on hormone blockers.
Remember, hormone blockers are fully reversible, especially if you take hormones to reverse them. So, like, they're not needed, but, like, especially if you take hormones to reverse them, the, like, undoing of the effects of hormone blockers, if for some reason they were administered, like, unnecessarily, it's determined down the road, they're reversible. Hormone blockers are the cushion to assuage the fears that people like Matt Walsh supposedly have. But they rally against hormone blockers because the fact is they don't actually want some kind of like reasonable legality of transitioning healthcare. They want it to be completely banned. And so they have to pretend that hormone blockers are something that they literally, objectively are not. It's almost like hormone blockers are very similar for the right to the left and guns, right? So for me, I look at lefties talk about guns and be wrong about them, like about their functionality and what they can do. And it just makes me embarrassed because there's no subjectivity to that. They're hard chunks of steel and plastic. There's no subjectivity to what they can and can't do. They either can do this or can't do that, or are this or aren't that. And the same thing is true of medications like this. There's no subjectivity to what hormone blockers can do. Like, there is medical consensus on that, and that's it. The right is just as delusional about trans people as the left tends to be about guns. And so, as someone who's got knowledge in both fields, when I see the left say, like, assault weapon or fully semi-automatic, it's just as ridiculous to me as when Republicans say shit like hormone blockers are irreversible, when the point of hormone blockers are that they are the reversible thing, as opposed to hormones, which are far less reversible, but still are, because there are detransitioners. There are trans people who get like pretty far into taking their course of hormones, stop for whatever given reason, and then on their own end up regressing pretty damn close to back to where they started. And if they go back on hormones again, they can go back onto that path, but like in many cases, even hormones can be reversible.
Really?
I'm sure someone's going to fact check me on that, but my guess is that we're into the millions now at this point. Yeah, that would be my guess. I can say for double mastectomies, I read a report recently that there were over 1,000 done between 2016 and 2019.
Over 1,000.
And when you compare that to how many were done between 2008 and 2015, it's a massive increase. And
that's the same case with the gay people as well.
And over 1,000 girls had gender affirming double mastectomies in that time frame.
And when you say girls, you're talking about prepubescent,
right? Minors, and that's just up until 2019, and then we know that there's been this exponential increase with all this stuff year over year. So it's a lot. It's too many. Having this happen to one kid is way too many. It's a lot more than one.
Yeah.
This is only ever done under extreme medical supervision and consensus with doctors and psychologists and shit, if it's ever anyone, especially if it's anyone under the age of 18, but even when it's someone who's an adult.
Look, if you're an adult and you want to do that and you understand who you are and what you are and this is how you feel you should progress, you're an adult.
By the way, the implication that like Joe Rogan isn't transphobic as long as the trans people are 18 or above, he respects their decision. But if they're underage, he doesn't respect their identity, is this really weird, like, dude bro attempt to compromise, it feels like. Like, I feel like from Joe Rogan's perspective, he feels like that's a compromise, Like, oh yeah, if you're an adult and you've reached an age where you can make decisions pretty reasonably without, like, completely regretting it, which is completely untrue, by the way. Like, 18 to 25, like up until the age of 25 or older, you're still making decisions that you'll regret when you get older. But the fact is that your identity is something very deep down and like fundamental to you, especially your gender identity. And most trans people seem to overwhelmingly report having felt discordance with their assigned gender at birth since they were really young, like almost as long as they can remember. So it's really a nothing statement. It's from his perspective, he feels like he's having a very center-leaning, like reasonable, compromising take that's respectful to both sides and like, cautious. But in reality, it's an uneducated and it's a take that indicates how little knowledge he has about this topic fundamentally, and the fact that he just listens to his guests, and that's like the only research he does. He's a dude who's heard a lot of shit. But I'm sorry, I'm kind of ruining this clip now, but Matt Walsh says millions of kids have gone on hormone blockers, and then this happens.
This is a free country. You should be able to do whatever you want. But when you're talking about doing that to children, the fact that so many people are on board and so many people are angry, if you have, like, people are going to be angry at us that we're having these conversations.
Yeah, they will be. And I also, I actually think that that this shouldn't be happening to.
That's a very small number, if that's right.
It says over the last 5 years, there were at least 4,780 adolescents who started puberty blockers.
Millions.
And had a prior gender dysphoria diagnosis.
This says it's kind of undercounted, but that's
That would be a big
less than
undercounting.
1,000 people a year.
Yeah.
Less than 1,000 a year.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess, hundreds of thousands at this, but I could be wrong.
Now he's gone down to hundreds of thousands to make how wrong he was look less bad. Like, I would guess hundreds of thousands, but, it is what it is. Here, my camera is fucking not enjoying how dark it is. Let me turn up the gain real quick. Let me turn up the gain. The GAN. There we go. Things are going to be a little fuzzy, but at least you guys can see me now. And it doesn't look like I'm consumed by shadows. Anyway, that's one of my top Matt Walsh moments of 2023, personally. That's my response to him saying he can read. He can read the data.
Done.
Representative Clements, you're
And for what purpose do you conduct your research and use this brain of yours?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized.
I use it for the purpose of trying to protect children from being castrated and mutilated. That's one of the things I try to do.
You don't use it to...
Clements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You don't use it to get clicks on your
Let's state that.
publication?
Well, are you using it right now to try to get clicks with this interaction?
On,
No, I really like the
Mr.
idea
Walsh.
of getting of drawing attention to the fact that this is happening to children. I know you seem to find it very amusing. I don't.
That was an own for him? I know, Blood Ghoul. We're not engaging with drama. We're not engaging with drama, okay?
I want to thank the governor and the lawmakers here in Mississippi who have done the right and necessary thing by banning the horrific medical abuse of children. I'm extremely encouraged to not only see this law being passed, but to see the national movement that we have been able to build, pushing back against the gender.
I like how this says 331 viewers. What is this? Some kind of, like, public statement he made at some, like, Mississippi conference, I guess?
Ideology madness that has a stranglehold on our society and on our children for far too long. The reality is that this is not a difficult issue, as the governor's already covered. It's quite straightforward, in fact. If we lived in a sane society run by sane people, we would all be able to agree on this point. The question of whether it's ever okay to castrate and sterilize and mutilate a child would be answered in one.
Notice how there's not really, like, one of the interesting things about this is how people like Matt Walsh, these, like, dishonest propagandists, they're not even honest enough, or they don't even pretend to be honest enough to engage with the argument, right? Like, Matt Walsh doesn't have debates or engage with an argument as to whether or not the scientific majority opinion that trans people are valid is a valid point. He doesn't have that debate. He operates and speaks completely under the presupposition that every single position he's advocating for is not only proven true, which it's not, but everybody watching already agrees. So it's less so that he's convincing with his rhetoric, and it's more so that he tries to convince people that everyone already believes what he's saying, and that if you don't already, then you're some kind of outlier. And you don't want to be an outlier, do you? And then he throws in some, like, snide comments about those that disagree with him, so those that watch feel kind of shame if they don't agree with his position.
One loud and unified voice saying without hesitation, not only no, but hell no. That is how all normal, common sense, decent Americans answer the question. And they don't have to think about it.
It's nothing. It's basically just him trying to make transitioning sound scary.
This is an important question. You said you're an EMT. Yes. Okay, if you're responding to a health emergency. Biological male, somebody with a penis is having a medical emergency. And they say to you, I think I'm having a miscarriage. Would you check them to see if they're having a miscarriage? Would you consider that a possibility for them?
What? Okay. Mr. Walsh, how can you tell someone has a penis when you walk up to them? This is the big, like, meme with these conservative types, is they seem to operate under the assumption that everybody knows the genitals of everyone that they're talking to, or that that's like a thing that's immediately on everyone else's mind. Like, let's say you walk up to a guy who reports that he's had a miscarriage and you're a paramedic, but he's got a penis. Would you still offer him medical care? And it's like, how would you know he has a penis? Are you already offering medical care? Is he naked? What's happening in this example? This weird hypothetical is bizarre. I guess the point he's trying to make is people who are trans are delusional and believe that they have biological functions that they don't. So in this hypothetical, if one person did that and you wouldn't operate on them medically under the assumption that their claim was true, then that's an epic own on trans people. It's like, it's nothing garble. It's beyond nothing garble. No argument was made here. Like I said, he doesn't engage with the argument of whether or not trans people are valid. He operates and debates under the assumption everyone already agrees trans people aren't valid, and tries to question people about why they believe what they believe when what they believe is wrong. It sounds like that's what debating is, but it's not. It's him trying to fish for dunks.
Look. No, but...
Yeah, that person's clearly dumbfounded by how stupid that question is. Like, so for those who don't know, if you're ever in one of these situations where you, like, go up to the stage and you like, talk into the mic when there's some conservative pundit there, you better be confident in front of a crowd, because you are surrounded by a very hostile audience. He has the podium. He has 2 mics to amplify his voice above anybody who could be, like, asking a question. So if you get like, stopped, you've got to be ready to immediately come back with something. Even a pause, and that gives people time to start clapping and laughing in response to what Matt Walsh did. This guy relies heavily on people, like, giving more support from chat.
That's because some people don't have body parts. Doesn't mean they're not a woman.
Okay. Sounds like we've established there are some people who, in principle, can get pregnant, and there are some people who can't. So there's 2 categories, otherwise known as binary.
Lots of women...
Well, yeah, like they were about to say, lots of cis women cannot get pregnant, and lots of cis men cannot make a cis woman get pregnant. So it's like, you can't set the standard of this imaginary binary on whether or not one can give birth.
Can't get pregnant either.
Yeah, but they're still of the nature to get pregnant. The
But
only
they can't get pregnant.
What's that
Yes,
mean?
but
Truth matters,
That's
right?
what that means. No, ask what that means. What does that mean? What does of the nature to get pregnant mean? They can't. Are you telling me you can see into an alternate universe in which they're supposed to have had to been able to? Can you see into parallel universes? Like, if they're a dishonest actor, get dishonest with them. Nitpick and question every single stupid argument they make.
It does. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Truth matters, and they can't get pregnant. That's the truth. So how are they still women?
Because they are...
Wait, how is this a viral, like, moment own for him? Wait, he just got paused. He just paused for a second while people in the crowd went, oh.
For the same reason that I can rightly say that human beings have 2 legs. And if a person is born with only 1 leg, that doesn't call into question the statement that human beings have 2 legs, okay?
That is not at all a valid comparison. Here's a valid comparison. Let's say someone makes the statement, all humans are bipedal. And you're like, well, no. there are a lot of people that have no legs or one leg, and I'm sure there are people who have three. I mean, well, there are definitely people who got that third leg, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, the fact you can't make a broad statement like, quote unquote, all humans are bipedal when exceptions to that claim exist. And then in response to that, like, argument, Matt Walsh, if he was the one claiming that all humans are bipedal, and I made that argument, and we're, like, following through here, his response would be, but all humans are of the nature to be bipedal. He would argue that all humans are supposed to have two legs, and to be able to walk around what he would call normally. And so the existence of outliers doesn't eliminate the existence of this binary he claims exists, because the people who fall outside of that binary, they don't matter, because, you know, they aren't supposed to exist. And if you ask him what that means, then he'll probably go on some borderline eugenics-fueled ramble.
A person being born with one leg doesn't mean that now legs are on a spectrum, and we can't say anything at all about how many legs a person has. Who knows? They could be a centipede. You know, they could have 100 legs.
He's just gish-galloping nothing statements here, trying to overwhelm this person.
No, we know human beings have two legs. If a human is born without two legs, something went wrong. They were supposed to have that second.
Dude, I literally predicted it. I literally predicted exactly what dumbass argument he would try to make. That he could make the statement that all humans are bipedal and the outliers don't matter because all humans are supposed to be bipedal, whatever supposed to means. This is the bit where, like, his religious beliefs are kind of having an impact there, and this is where it becomes literally impossible to argue with these people in this format. Like, you'd have to have them in, like, a one-on-one on a call in order to have this type of debate. Like, you can't... All you can hope for is to fish for a good gotcha to post on Twitter from a circumstance like this.
Second leg, something went wrong. If you meet a person on the street who only has one leg, maybe they had an accident, maybe they were in war, maybe something, you know, maybe they were in a car accident.
Frankly, I feel like the best thing you could do in a situation like this, where you're going up on stage to try to, like, debate Matt Walsh or whatever, would be to not even engage with him in, like, a long-form debate format, so to say. Like, if you literally just went up there, took the mic, asked him a really hard question, then lampshaded his response that you can predict by pointing out how stupid it is, so that he can't just immediately go to his number one, like, response he would normally have to that question, and then walk away. Just say something along the lines of, I'll give you time to figure out a response that isn't yada, 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 and then walk away. Just walk the fuck away from the mic. Don't engage any further. Get your line out, let him have the last word or whatever, but you just walk the fuck away, and he's just going to be stumbling and stuttering, like, a response, like, okay, well, he walked away, but, like, I guess I'll respond. You'll look way better if you just make a statement that points out how stupid and hypocritical he is without letting him interrupt, and then walking away and not engaging further. I genuinely feel like Matt Walsh would stop doing these live events. Well, I think he already did, to be fair. But back when he did them, he would have stopped them way sooner if that's the way people confronted him more often. Because he relies on drawing it out with gish galloping to make himself look good. If you just get in and attack his point and then don't let him gish gallop a bullshit response and just walk away, he looks dumb.
Maybe they had cancer, a leg was cut off. But you know that something went wrong because by their nature, they're supposed to have two legs. Same thing for a woman. A woman by her nature can get pregnant. A man by his nature never can. So if you...
Well, a woman by their nature, by definition, is someone who has been designated woman by doctors when they were born, and a man is someone who is designated by doctors a man when they were born, and then later on in life they can identify that way differently. That's what the majority of academics and experts agree on, so it's hard to even argue with this when he's not even arguing from a position that is adjacent to real life.
Meet a woman of childbearing age, say she's 28 years old, and she can't get pregnant, you know automatically that something has gone wrong. And she can go to the doctor and find out what that thing is, even if they can't fix it. So that proves that women by their nature can get pregnant, because the simple fact that she can't shows you that there's something wrong. This is what is known as the...
Well, no. The argument that the ability to get pregnant is what makes a woman is what you're arguing. Not that the existence of, or in some cases they don't exist, the supposed necessary, what was supposed to happen existence of certain sexual organs means that this is what a woman is. You never even argued that from the get-go. And even if that is what you were arguing, it's a nothing argument because you can't, as a human, argue what was supposed to happen in an alternate timeline than our own. Fun fact, Zan, the etymology of the word woman comes from the Old English wifman or wife man, who is a person who's your wife. Interesting.
The exception that proves the rule. Whereas if a male with a penis can't get pregnant...
So that means boy wives were the original femboys. I see.
No doctor on earth is going to run tests to see what's wrong with him. Because they already know it's that he's a male, and there's only male and female, those who can get pregnant and those who can't. So...
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a hostile audience to the person questioning. They knew what they were getting into going in there. But I will say, if conservatives want to try to argue the perspective that woman and man is just whether or not there is supposed to be certain sexual organs, then they can do that, but they're going to run into a lot of problems when it comes to intersex people. I guess they could try to make the same argument there, but like down to the hormones and the chromosomes, they're not XX or XY, you know, they're not male or female. So it's really, I don't know. At the end of the day, the overwhelming majority of doctors, scientists, and medical professionals across the board, like, laugh and scoff at what Matt Walsh says is blatant medical misinfo. So I'm kind of just arguing with a wall here.
All right, that's it. That's...
Dancing with the Stars?
Let's just try some stuff.
Let's
just see what you've got. Okay, so...
He went on Dancing with the Stars? Dude, it's actually putrid how much mainstream attention Daily Wire is getting. They probably have a really big PR team that just tells people they're YouTubers or like big social media. No, he did not. Okay, so what is this? Is this literally just him learning to dance or like a parody? I forgot he did that. Yeah.
Let's just start very, very simple today.
Okay.
And we'll just hold this rhythm nice and tight. Okay?
It's kind of a this thing that you're doing.
I think
Nope,
this is just
it's
him
not
learning
front
to
back.
dance.
It's a really side to
Well, I
side.
think this is what you're doing.
You can mirror me, actually. You know, just like...
Now, when you say mirror, you mean...
Right. Like if you were looking at a mirror and I looked like you...
Okay, we're not... Yeah, okay. 6-ish minutes with Ryan Webb.
From the moment she decided to live her truth, Ryan Webb knew she was in the fight of her life. Living under the oppression of heteronormative standards is considered business as usual to most women. But Ryan faced a different learning curve. Many of the everyday experiences of women were new to her because until a few months ago, this lesbian woman of color identified as a cisgender white man. Ryan knew her stunning bravery would make her a target, but she never anticipated the amount of hate she would face from her new community.
Is this literally like a troll?
This is a big moment for Ryan Webb. Agreeing to an interview after revealing her identity as a transgender lesbian of color.
Okay, so this is literally like a troll video they made. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's about what I expected. Matt Walsh is demonic. Matt Walsh is fucking demonic, dude. I really can't think of someone more contemptible that's in this space than him. Like, how smugly wrong he is and how successfully smugly wrong he is. It's very, very hard to not hate him. And on top of that, he's really boring. He's really, really boring. His audience is mostly boomers that have just kind of fallen to him as like their new Tucker Carlson replacement. So it's become so tiring to have to cover him because he's really influential, but he's also so fucking boring. I don't really have fun covering his stuff like I do other figures. Anyway, that is the worst of Matt Walsh 2023. I hope you guys enjoyed.